Hey,
Hey, y'all.
just had a
Hello.
sneezing fit while the intro was playing. Good timing.
Yeah. So just an
Hmm.
update for everyone on my dog. So she's home. So she had badly infected two teeth. She's down to only three teeth in her mouth. She's an old girl, but here she is. I'll show you.
Still woozy, right?
No woozy, fast
Tired.
asleep. There she is. Just got her home a few minutes ago, and we had a rough week. We had a rough week taking care of her.
It seemed like you had a long weekend because she was at like peak pain and just not
Yeah.
eating or drinking.
Yeah, so yeah, she wouldn't for a lot of it she couldn't drink. She was in too much pain, so we were taking a turkey baster and giving her water that way. It was yeah, just to keep her hydrated. But they did give her another pain medicine, and she was able to eat two meals yesterday and drink on her own. So she went into surgery in okay shape. But she's lost 2 pounds. She's a small dog. She's an old dog.
Hmm.
So, but now that those infected teeth are out of her, she's going to feel a lot better. So, yeah, poor dog. So, I did not send out Oinky. I did not send out your substrate. I made it, but damn dog. So hopefully this
Yeah,
week I'll get to the.
dog problems. There's no deadline or timeline on the terrariums anyway.
Exactly. I made
Mhm.
two of mine. I have the stuff to make four of them, but I ran out of gravel, so I ordered more gravel, and I'll make the others. So, but yeah, I had a good terrarium making date with Foxanne and Dee Dee. We made them together. That was a lot of fun. I'll show pictures in a little while, but just ever between the holiday and really like dog's tooth kind of started going downhill like Tuesday night, and then I called the vet on Wednesday morning, and they couldn't get me in till Friday, and it's just been pretty stressful for everyone, but especially her. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But, anyways, glad everyone is here. I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Meanwhile, we have a dog tearing at her face right now with she's so freaking
Oh,
itchy. We're gonna have to just spring for the full allergy test on her. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hundreds of dollars to do it, and there may not be a guarantee that they find something, but this happens to her way too often that it's
Mm,
cyclical. There's got to be something in the house or outside that's doing it.
yeah. So my dog, she gets seasonal itchiness every spring and summer, and she's on an injection called Cytopoint. It's like $50. For her, it lasts like 12 weeks, but I know for some dogs it doesn't last long.
It lasts Coco 6 weeks at best.
Oh, that sucks.
mm.
That gets
We've
expensive.
done it a few times. Yeah, and it's $80 here, and it's $80 a month.
No, that's a lot.
It's a. I mean, I feel good whenever it works and she's got some relief for a while. She heals up, and then it
Yeah.
just yeah. I think it's allergies because even if
Yeah,
she's
and
not
see,
itching,
for us, like it goes away when there's a hard frost. So really, it's just once a season I need to get it for her,
hmm
and it holds pretty much the whole season, and then by then there's a hard frost, and we're good. So, but you guys don't really have a lot of hard frost there like we do
nope.
because
It
you
just
don't get
gets
killing
cold.
frost. Yeah, so if she's allergic to a bug bite or something, it's not gonna
Yeah,
help.
our grass is still alive.
Yeah, but that
Mhm.
Cytopoint injection on her, oh, it works so well. I would like to get it on myself, honestly, because it's a biological, but and the human version of it is a drug called Dupixent, and it's like $4,000 a shot.
And how long does it last?
Oh,
I'm not sure, but I know people who've been on it for like chronic eczema,
Oh,
and it does work because it's an IL-4 interleukin-4 antagonist, I think. And $4,000. I'm like, can you just give me a couple of the Cytopoint ones?
Insurance cover that?
Not some people. I just am like really like sensitive to mosquito bites, and I itch really bad. And I'm like, oh, that'd be nice. But wow, $4,000. I'll just scratch myself. A lot cheaper.
I come from the land of mosquitoes, and I'm also sensitive to mosquito
Well,
bites.
it's the Great White North is also the land of mosquitoes. It rains a lot here. It's just all concentrated one time of the year. So yeah.
Anyway, we have so many mosquitoes though that like that gambusia tub that I have going that I've never fed or done water changes on. Those fish are breeding.
Oh, I know. Well, and I never fed my rice fish all summer, not one time. And I had tons of them. I even gave a bunch of them to Jess, Lady Meadowhead. So, yeah.
So, speaking of unrelenting heat,
not a problem up here. Heat is relented.
Well, it's 74 right now. Happy November.
It's pretty nice here right now. I think it's like 45, which is
that's about
not
the same
bad.
here too.
41. It's 41. So it's not bad for November. Things have warmed up. We did have a pretty nasty cold spell there. I think we had a day where the high was 17. Bunny Viper says, use witch hazel on mosquito bites. We're beyond witch hazel. We're considering amputation.
Yeah.
There is nothing that stops it. It's pretty bad. I'm just very sensitive to that. So anyways, it's cooled off here. So like my heaters are really running now, and but hot tanks.
I'm going to make a poll actually.
Yeah.
Does anyone do you have one or more tanks above 80 degrees?
So my tanks are all at 75.
That's about right. For me, 75 to 77. Adolfoy Corey tank, 79, 80.
Yeah, rainbows don't like to be super hot.
Nah.
It kind of you can keep them hotter than 75, but it kind of shortens their lifespan. So, somewhere around 73, 76 is good. And why spend money to heat a tank?
Right.
So,
if your room temperature stays between 70 and 77, you don't really need a heater much.
Yeah, but mine doesn't.
For most
room temperature stays. Yeah. Oh my God.
My house gets down to like sometimes even like 62 in the winter.
So nice.
No, it's awful. I'm so cold. I'm so
That's
miserable.
nice.
It's drafty. 62 degrees when you're trying to work is too cold. So, yeah, it's very hard to keep my house warm. So my
Kelly, have you ever heard of a Snuggie or a heated blanket?
I have a heated electric blanket that I wrap myself in when I work, and I have a little space heater, and I do what I have to do. But I don't like to be cold. And my fish don't either, so I have to run heaters. So, but in the summer, I just unplug them because I don't have very good insulation in my house. It also gets very hot. My tanks are above 80 all summer, which is just that.
I have a heater in every single tank, actually, but they're on controllers, and so most of the time,
But that's because you keep your house unnaturally cold.
68, that's perfect.
That's considered room temperature.
That's a waste of money in the summer. Like, you should sweat in the summer and be cold in the winter, and that's that. I mean,
but hell no.
I'm not wasting that much money on my energy bill.
Oh, I will. Absolutely. Yeah. I budget for that. That's a luxury. That's in the entertainment budget.
That's absurd. You've just lost touch with like your environment at 68 in the summer. Like, you should be a little.
I never had touch with my environment.
This is very true. You are not in touch with your outside environment. So, yeah. So Zenny says she had one that went up to 79 to 81, her discus. But since they're all gone now, all the tanks are 78 except the shrimp and goldfish tank and the planet tank. Yeah, I mean,
So
even 78, it's on the warmer side, but not too
Mhm.
bad. Steph says 76 to 82, depending on reliable the year. It's on the warm side. Scuba Stevo is 70 to 75. Africans 80 to 82. That's a hotter tank. But you probably don't grow a lot of plants in the African tank, I'm guessing. So yeah, Beck says no Peters in my tank all year round here in Colorado. Semi-arid here, so evenings are usually still cool in the summer. That is very
mhm.
true. Yeah, it's more desert climate. So yeah, you kind of need them. For me, I just unplug the heaters in the summer, but we don't have a desert climate. So
So at what point, what's the threshold where the temperature threshold where plants stop thriving quite so much? Is it like the 80-degree mark, or is
I
it
think
more
it's
so
like
70,
78 personally.
78?
I think so.
After then, you have to start cranking up your pampering for the plants and increase the amount of CO2 for the solubility
Mhm.
and O2 and flow so that the gas exchange goes very well. After that,
I
you just
think
have to pamper them very well.
I mean, my tanks in the summer, every summer, my tanks are above 80 degrees. That's just the way it goes. My house is hot. I can't help it. I live in an old house. And, yeah, my plants don't look as good. My tanks don't look as good. You know,
Mhm.
it just, and now my tanks look great. Less algae. You can tell the colors better. There's less pinholing in the leaves.
Mhm.
There's
Right.
just, you know,
I've
75
noticed
is good
like
temperature for
certain
plants.
plants for me are very temperature sensitive. Like
Yep.
keeping something as simple as hygrophila
Stem.
in at whenever I had a tank with it was a Cardinal Tetra tank, and the temps were like 80 to 82.
Yeah.
I would get nothing but pinholes and
Yeah.
leaves just dying off on that hygrophila. It was like the
Yeah.
barometer for the tank. I thought it was nutrient deficiency for the longest time.
No,
It's just
they don't
temperature,
like
yeah.
to get hot. I mean, even plants where supposedly people are like, oh yeah, they thrive in heat. No, they don't. Amazon swords, crypts,
Yeah, you're talking
bowels.
about plants that will live through the heat,
They
not
don't. Yeah, I mean, Java ferns. Yeah, they'll live through it. But I'm here to tell you, they never look as good ever. And stems are more sensitive.
Mhm.
They are more sensitive. They'll kind of get melty.
yeah.
So Zenny says Aponagitans, Pogostemon, Java fern, and the tall spirally grass. Yes, that's a technical term. I love it. Did well above 80. You say well, but they didn't. There's
They
there
just they stayed stable.
they
Let's put it that
they
way.
grow. They
Mhm.
don't die.
Aponogeton though, Madagascar,
No,
that
that'll
stuff
straight up die.
doesn't.
Well,
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
Aponagitans will do okay.
I
Crispus,
haven't kept many.
Boivinianus,
Not
and
great.
Ovasius will do kind of well in hot
Yeah.
water, but they'll just stay stagnant. Like if one leaf grows, another will die. That's all.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
like Amazon swords, they just don't look as good. The color's not as good. They get trashed. But like right now, my Amazon sword looks really good. And you know, it's not a lot has changed in my tank.
Hmm.
It's just that it's not hot anymore. So it's yeah. So Zen says, okay, they still grew fast, but maybe not well, and it was Ulvaceous. And yeah, I mean, they'll still grow. I mean, I still have tons of spiralis, and they just don't look as good. I
Yeah,
noticed it a lot with like Wentii type ones. So the smaller crypts, they just don't look as good.
I had that Crypt Wintii in the hot tank, and it continued to look really good. The Crypts
Really,
were one that really
I
I
don't.
didn't see a big change in temperature
Hmm.
in the look
Yeah, I
when the
mean, like
temperature
mine, like
shifted.
I noticed a real decline in like my Wentii bronze, my Lucens, or sorry,
Mm.
Lutea. Lutea doesn't look as good. It's just, so Beck says, I feel like this goes back to the difference between surviving and thriving conversation just for plants in this case. Yeah. I mean, nothing dies. There's maybe a little more algae, I would say.
So this is a good question, and the answer is if you go and look in the Amazon,
It's not that.
You're not going to see plants in the water.
Yep.
It's just trash. It's leaf litter, tannins,
Mud.
wood. Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our plants that are from South America come from the Pentanal,
yeah,
which is not as hot.
Hmm.
they're in like Amazon swords. You're not going to see them in the Amazon River. They're, I mean,
You're
they're
gonna see them
around
on
there,
the,
but
yep,
they're
around the
completely,
sides.
Now,
they're just moist. They're
yeah,
not,
the
they're not wet.
Pentanal. Yeah,
They have
and
unlimited CO2 access and
and a lot of
oxygen.
those
So
bodies of water that have plants in them are not as hot because they're big,
mm,
and so they don't get as hot during the day because water is a big heat sink because it has a high heat capacity, so it doesn't get as hot or as cold as fast. So Silver Creek says my Crypt Bronze is doing amazing in my Ram tank at 83, better than my lower temp tanks. I'm here to tell you though, I bet if you were to turn that tank down to 75 in 6 months, it would do amazinger.
possibly. As I
Yeah.
said, the crypts were the only thing that I noticed that were just like, that's fine, whatever.
I don't think that any plant wants to be that hot. And I mean, when I was in grad school, I took a whole class on plant metabolism. It was very exciting. And plants they have adaptations to deal with heat, but aquatic plants don't have the same adaptations because a lot of the adaptations that plants use to deal with heat are mostly to deal with the water loss aspect of heat because that will kill a plant much faster. So they have different methods, modalities of photosynthesis. They do either C4 photosynthesis, like corn does that, or they do crassulation acid metabolism. So succulents do that. Um, but aquatic plants they don't have water loss issues, obviously. So
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah.
I
So
didn't know that about Ludwigia inclinata.
No, yeah,
that's
that
not a
is true.
plant
They do
I've
like the
ever
hotter
been
plants. Yep.
that's not a plant I've ever been able to grow.
I tried.
I
It,
don't have
it
time.
It
worked
is a
for a
bit
little
harder.
bit, but
But
man,
I
you
would still guess that it probably is still pretty happy at 75 because plants just tend to be happier at cooler temperatures. Photosynthesis just energetically works better when it's not too hot. It's part of the membrane dynamics of the chloroplast are more favorable. So then why the hell are they advertising a lot of these plants from the Amazon?
well, they're
Freaking
from
kill
there.
that.
They're just
Well, they're
not.
from
Yeah.
there.
I mean, most of the plants in your aquarium are not aquatic plants. They're
Yeah, they
not
grow. Yeah,
submerged
they
year round.
grow above. I mean, they can grow below the waterline some, but that's not their goal. Their goal is to emerge above the
Yeah,
waterline.
they call them marginal plants too. Like they'll be along the edges, and but they're
Yeah,
not. Maybe in the wet season they can tolerate being submerged for a little while. That's
right.
really all we're doing with our aquatic plants is like making them tolerate being submerged all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few true aquatic plants. So Luke says, yeah, it loves heat and it also loves dying. Very true. Which
Well,
is, why I've never grown it because it needs super low KH, which
mine got to fulfill its dream of dying. I'm glad I could help.
so yeah. But I mean, life is about choices, right? You can't keep every single fish that you want. You can't keep every single fish together that you want. If you really love African cichlids, you're probably not going to grow Ludwigia pantodile in a tank.
Mhm.
It's just life is about choices. And if your choice is to keep fish that need hotter water, obviously you have to give them the conditions that make them happy, right? If you have
Yeah,
a betta or you have discus or rams, you have to keep them hotter. And so it's a trade off. And your plants still may grow pretty well, but it's not optimal for the plants. But I would rather have suboptimal plants and optimal fish.
right. The fish come first. If you really
Right.
want rams, you really want discus, you prioritize keeping them
Yeah.
comfortable, and then you use the plants that work.
I
Like
would
I'll never
not.
not have a planted tank. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that I use the right plants.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you ever want to have like a show quality aquascape, like if you want to like go down the road of becoming a competitive aquascaper, you're gonna pick fish that do well at about 73. Because your life is gonna be so much easier. You're gonna have less algae, your plants are gonna be happier.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of fish that do well 73, 75, 76. There's a lot more. I would say more of our fish than not are happier at those cooler temperatures.
Yeah.
So, and even sometimes a fish where like, what is it? Like, what is like, I don't know, one of the online fish information things, they'll say, oh, you have to keep them at this. Well, maybe not. Maybe they would be happier a couple degrees cooler. So, you know.
Mm.
Life is about choices. So if you do need to make those choices, probably crypts, Amazon storage, Java ferns, I would say are probably your best bets.
Boost is okay in the heat too.
Anubias, that's okay.
Valistarian will do fine
yeah.
if you have the right water,
Right, Vals.
especially
Yeah.
because they
Yeah,
grow
you
in the
need
hotter
a
area
little
streams
KH.
here. Yeah.
Need a little KH for that. Foregrounds will do okay. I noticed my Monte Carlo was not as good. It's not bad. I just don't think it's quite as good. The Eleocharis acicularis mini,
Will not do well, but the larger Eleutheris, the Vivipara,
yeah, it's not as,
the
I
one
was
that
just
starts
gonna
with F,
say,
those will.
yeah, the Vivipara, yeah, that one's a little better. I would say the mini, it's not so great. Luke says if you have a deep wallet, do an aerial collar carpet. Not with my water. I don't like throwing out my
You need soft water,
I-
but yeah, it will do fine in heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will forever keep forgetting exactly which aerial Colin that Luke sent me, but
Malayator.
it's doing what? Which one?
Malayator, Malayattor.
You lost me. Okay.
It's the
Send me that in
thinner
the chat or
ones.
something later.
The thinner ones that do better. And Snoochie
Mhm.
Booch says I have a crinum doing well at 82. Yeah, I mean they do okay. I have a crinum too, and obviously it grows and grows and grows. As long as you don't move it, don't move your crinum.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you, it does better when it's not at 82. It does okay. So Luke says use the feathery Aerios. I'll have to try those because I like the look of them. I've never tried those, but you've convinced me I should. Malaya Tour.
Yeah.
So like Malaysia Tour.
I have one. It's do
How's
they
it
propagate through runners? Is that how they work or what?
It'll have the mother plant here, and then side little puffs will grow around it, and then you can just snap those down like that, and then plant those over.
Gotcha. Okay. I just been leaving it alone and basically ignoring it because it's fine. It's like
Yeah,
it's
I
doing
don't like to
well.
move it. Once you see it getting too much, it's too big, is the time you want to say, okay, now I can divide it up into some portions. But
Gotcha.
the more you uproot it, then it's gonna be fussy and all.
Yeah. Side pups. There you go. Yeah. So
Whew, let us know in about 20 years.
See you in 35 years.
But yeah. You know what? I think the easiest way to grow a carpet of crypt parva is to pay
Is
for
buying
it.
88
Yeah,
plants.
buy a carpet of Crypt parva.
Because I have a lot of crypts lucens,
Mhm.
which is similar to crypt parva, and I just paid a lot of money for it because I love it. I love the plant, but it is slow, so slow.
All right. Luke said, let them grow a bit bigger before pulling. Like Myrtle said, you can separate crowns from roots really easily. Okay. I'm just gonna leave it alone. It's in the plant farm in a good spot.
Yeah.
I got
I mean, it
so
hasn't
much
been
light.
in there that long, so yeah. Only Oscar says Oscars love to destroy banana plants. Oscars,
All
I
plants in general.
was
Most
gonna
plants in
say
general.
I've never had an Oscar. I have a feeling they really just love trashing all plants. So
I was waiting for Jenna to chime in. Then they're doing some good work, June. Eat them bananas.
So Luke says brevis capum, dong ha, feather duster, and Malaya tour have all done well for me in harder water. I'll keep an eye out for those on some of the auction sites. Maybe I'll try some of those because, I've always avoided Ariel Collins because so many of them are fussy, fussy, fussy. So, Scuba Steve says, you all got any links for a noob for a beginner CO2 kit for about 25 gallons? So my favorite site is 2 Hour Aquarius. Maybe a lovely mod can drop a link for it. It's a really good website explaining about CO2 and fertilization. For a beginner CO2 kit, I would get a good regulator so you don't regret it and so you don't lose fish. I like GLA. I've heard good things about CO2 art. Those are kind of the two I usually recommend. GLA is a lot more expensive. CO2 art, I think, is pretty reasonably priced considering it's also quality.
Yeah.
But we have a whole, at least one episode of Wet Your Plants about getting started with CO2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good place to start there too. But 2 Hour Aquarius is a really great site.
And we for sure, when we talked about the Planet Tank horror stories, we were talking about regulator brands and what we
Sure.
like.
Yeah. Don't cheap out on your regulator.
I'm
Don't.
keeping an eye on my F zones. Knock
I
on wood.
know.
So far, so good, but I am keeping a close watch on him.
No. I mean, I just had another friend who had a big failure with those and lost big rainbows that were multiple years old. And that hurts. It's like one thing if you lose a couple cardinal tetras, but if you lose a 4-year-old rainbow, that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
It hurts a lot.
I'm not running F zones on any tank where the loss would be absolutely gut wrenching, devastating, like my 90. I'm not. I refuse to lose more fish in my 90.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
all of my favorite fish are in there right now.
But I will say, if you get a good regulator, you're also not going to regret it because it's easier to adjust it.
It is.
It holds a lot better. It dials in a lot faster. Yeah.
Geek Boy, here's the new king of DIY. I like putting together a duct tape and chewing gum or a chewing gum because he's driving home or he's using a really high quality tablet. Regulator built from cheap Home Depot valves.
Alrighty then. I don't recommend that, but Geek Boy has skills that I just don't have. You can build your own regulator. There's plans, and those are very high quality because if you spend the money and get a good Mito valve, you'll get a good regulator. I don't know how to do that. I don't DIY anything.
I don't feel like figuring it out because the regulators that I have are fine.
Yeah.
And good even. Like the CO2 art and the SR Aquaristics, that's a $200 regulator. And that's probably my favorite one that I have, but I've never gotten a GLA, so I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't tried every brand either because it's kind of one of those things where, like, if you get one and it works well, you don't get another one because they're kind of expensive. And I'm not an equipment tester. I'm not hanging my hat on that as part of my identity. I don't want to do it. I don't care. I just pay the money for something that has the best reputation. So,
well, speaking of equipment testing, Aquarium Co-op has donated 2 of the co-op CO2 regulators to Fish Fam Christmas.
Oh, so nice.
2 people will win regulators and they'll be able to report back on how well they work.
Yeah, and I want to hear more about the Aquarium Co-op regulator because I don't feel comfortable recommending it until I hear more about how it works. So I know Geek Boy talked about getting one, and I trust his word. So if he says they're good, that's something I would consider. I just don't have a need for another one because they last years. And one regulator will drive more than one tank as long as they're close enough proximity. So, yeah.
Myrtle, you have modded from panel and people are not happy about that.
Yeah,
Myrtle. Hands are off.
Let the mods do their job. It's what we don't pay them for.
And hi, Austin. Member milestone. Howdy, Fish Pup all as well.
I don't see those messages. Eric Wyrock says plants. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. I'm sorry I missed your last stream, but it was a big week last week. Big week.
You can catch the replay of Bex's stream from Saturday. Eric was on with us.
So Matt says, "Do you trust my word, Kelly Foreman? I've been running one for over a month and I love it, and I have no experience." Well, that's good. I'm glad that you love it. I guess I would also like to hear from someone who'd had some other brands of regulators first. But that is a positive. That's a positive statement for it. I do like hearing that, so that's good. I haven't heard anything bad about them yet. Let's put it that way. No, that's not true. I heard one unconfirmed. Well, it was confirmed. I can't
Was it,
reveal the source. Let's put it that way.
well, was it about the O-ring and the bubble counter?
Not just that. They said it was hard to adjust.
Mm.
Yeah. But I want to hear more reports.
I would like to.
I've heard a
review it.
lot of reports about F Zone, many of which have been bad. And that's why I don't recommend them.
It's kind of like Sun though. There are people who have like ruined their floors with Sun, and there are people who have run Sun for years, and they're like, I saved hundreds of dollars by having a Sun.
I know. I bought a Sun because I'm like, well, let's just give it a shot. And like the what is it called? Like the cock stop or the valve stop. It sheared right off the first day we were trying to install it. It's like, no more. I will not cheap out on a canister filter or a regulator. You can cheap out on lights. Nothing dies if you have cheap lights.
Yep. Don't cheap out on anything that holds water, moves water, or works with gas that can kill fish.
Exactly. Yeah. You could cheap out on like what are they called? Like a Tetra Whisper bubbler. I mean, yeah, they're noisy and annoying, but they work fine. You know, there are things you can cheap out on. You could cheap out on a sponge filter.
Mm-hmm. It's just foam.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Maybe it doesn't, you know, nothing, your house won't flood.
So I have a night crew that's running on my 10-gallon CO2 injected tank, which was also has my Adolphoid Cories in there.
Yeah.
And the other day, I accidentally knocked the night crew into the water, total submersion.
Wow. Did it die or did it okay?
It lived. Part of me was aggravated, but also giddy. Like, I'm gonna need a new light.
I like it. Yeah. So Beck says the freaking woman who talked me into buying a damn Chihiros. Girlfriend, I got Chihiros too.
No
Just
regrets.
because I could cheap out on it doesn't mean I do. I have 3 tanks. I don't cheap out on anything. But I'm saying if you have 20 tanks, you can cheap out on lights. Nothing will die. Will it be optimal? Maybe not. You could grow plants fine and nothing will die. But don't cheap out on your regulators.
Mm-hmm.
I stand by that. You can get lucky.
Heaters too. If you have heaters in your tank, don't cheap out on them.
Well, don't cheap out on heaters too.
Yep,
yeah,
unless you have a heater control. Yep. Even then, though.
Yeah, I got those co-op heaters. I like those. Okay.
I mean,
they're plugged into an Inkbird. I don't know. I've had expensive heaters fail.
Mm-hmm.
I assume every heater is going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, this tank every year the heaters fail because I'll get like a little power surge in the winter or something, and they fail off. They don't fail on, but then my fish get really cold. So, but I have those Inkbirds now, so at least I'll know when they fail. So Big Shrimpin says, I'm not happy with my CO2 art regulator anymore. The solenoid doesn't close all the way, and their fix is to take it apart and stretch the spring. Ugh. Yeah, I wouldn't do that either. Honestly, I would just get a new regulator or get a brand new solenoid if you can. I wouldn't do that either. I don't have any CO2 arts, but no, I would not feel good about that.
Dang, Big Shrimpin, how long have you had that regulator?
Beck says, somewhere Kyle cringed his hard as he heard.
Somewhere? Is he at work or is he on his way home or is he at home? That's where he is.
Kelly's voice say 20 tanks and Chihiro's lights in the same sentence. Kyle, I'm here to tell you, you don't need 20 Chihiro's lights.
I'm the one with the 20 tanks, and I'm not getting 20 Chihiros.
I don't have 20 takes. I have 3 and only one of them has Chihiro's lights. I got to tell you though, I wish I had Chihiro's lights on this 90 because the Fluval 3.0s are just not intense enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to justify getting rid of 3 lights that work. You know, it feels wasteful.
Yeah, because I would have to sell them, and I don't wanna. I don't
I
want
don't
to.
want to
I don't want
sell
to deal with
anything. I would
people. I
just
don't want to
give
meet
it
anybody
away.
anywhere. I don't want to ship it.
I don't want to do that either. I mean, I've had them for 2 years, more than 2 years. They're still going, but if one dies, maybe I will put a Chihiro's on it. But it would look kind of weird to have a Chihiro's and a Fluval 3.0 running. I don't know.
Be interesting.
So, yeah.
No. Austin said I've cheated out on heaters or cheaped out on heaters before. It's a bad idea. It's how I lost my spotted
Oh,
Congo
no.
puffers.
And
That's
those
all
are
expensive Scootin' Fruities.
Hurts. Well, I'm here to tell you I bought some like Cobalt brand heaters, the ones that are really expensive, because I'm like, well, this is my 90. This is my best take. Maybe I will just get expensive heaters. No, those died too. So don't blame yourself because I think expensive heaters are just likely to die. I'm so sorry though. That really hurts. That really hurts. Oh. I think one place though where if you spend the money though you can feel the quality is a canister filter. Those Fluval FX filters are very solid.
You can feel the quality if you can even lift it.
I can't lift it. I have Awaza filters too. I think those are also pretty nice. So I think that spending the money on if you want to have a canister, maybe you don't want to, and that's okay. But that's a place where yeah, you get what you pay for. I would not get a cheap canister.
Big Shrimpin has had that CO2 art for 3 months. How is that not under instant replacement?
It should
I
be
thought it
it
was
should
under
be covered by the
warranty.
warranty.
Isn't it under a 1-year warranty?
I don't know, but I would reply back and say, don't tell me to take this thing apart and stretch the spring.
No.
3 months.
You
Send me
shouldn't
another
have
one.
to take apart anything. Yeah, it's under a 1-year warranty, I think.
It has to be. And not only would I demand that they send me another one, I would demand that they send it to me before I send the other one back.
Amen.
That's how computer parts work. Whenever I have to RMA those, you just give them your credit card. They charge your credit card if you don't send the other one back. That's all. I mean,
yeah. Oh, that sucks. That's no good. That's no good. Geek Boy says I'm wanting 4 more Chihiro lights, but my bank account is telling me to get the hell. Yeah, no. I mean, I would like more too. I just can't. It's just really hard to justify getting rid of perfectly working lights.
I just want 2 Chihiros, 1 3-foot and 1 4-foot, and then I'll be okay for a while until I love them too much and I have to put them on another one.
I mean, I think that I might need 2 of them for my 90.
Ooh.
Because I have a different dimension of tank than you do. Because you have a custom built 90. I don't think yours is as big front to back as mine is. I have a standard 90.
Mine is 17 inches front to back, but then I also have a very thick 3D background, and so it's probably more effectively like 15 inches.
You could do one, but mine is, what is it, like 18 inches front to back or something? I think I might have 2 of them. Because I think on a 40, might need 2. I don't know. They're the nice thing about them. They are, if you are going to do a brand new Planet tank and you want to spend money, they are ultimately a better value than Fluval 3.0s because the Fluval 3.0 is a skinnier light and it's not as intense. So you need more fixtures. So if I were to do this again, I have 3 Fluval 3.0s on here and it is still not as intense as I would like. There's no way I would need 3 Chihiro's lights on here because I would fry my retinas. I mean, maybe 2, but I could maybe get away with 1 if I hung it and put a light shield on it like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I would totally get the shields for any of them that I bought just so the light's not in my face.
Right.
I'm a YouTuber, so I have to film things, and I don't want that light shining back at me.
It doesn't bother me because it's in my dining room, but like if I had it, like let's say in my living room by my TV or in my bedroom, it would bother me. So Zenny says, if I have two crinums and I want to move and have some kind of filament algae at the tops, but I can't take all the leaves off, can I carefully do a bleach treatment or something? I hate it so much. Crinums don't like to be moved. Like every time you move a crinum is a 6-month reset. So think
I
about
think
this.
Zen wants to move it to our CO2 tank so it grows a little faster. I
I
think
get,
she's
I get that. So I would still probably, I mean, they have pretty tough leaves. I wouldn't bleach dip it. Maybe you could
peroxide
do
probably.
a peroxide, is what I would do. I would just manually remove it,
Mhm.
most of it. And if you have any left, I don't think you're probably going to need to do a peroxide treatment, though, unless it's like black beard algae. That's pretty hard to get off.
Mhm.
Filament
I would
algae,
also
manual
consider
removal.
just trimming away any badly infected leaves because the leaf is weak anyways. But when you move it, it's not gonna do fuck all for 6 months. They don't like to be moved. So consider where you put it. Some things are suitable for like my dear Brookleys of the world who like to move things every 2 weeks. But crinums are not one of them. They don't want to move. So Big Shrimpin says 3 months. I stretched the string and now it closes like 97%, which is good enough. But for $200, it should run flawlessly. That wouldn't be good enough for me. I mean, especially it's 3 months old. It should be under warranty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
the kind
don't
of
like.
person who loves to take things apart just for
Yeah, I
fun,
don't
and I
either.
still would raise hell. Like, 3 months? No, I'm not touching this. I'm not gonna take anything off, and then you tell me, now your warranty's void.
Yeah, I mean it's one thing if like Jake knocked over one of my regulators once and broke the solenoid off, which whatever. I mean it happens. That's clearly our fault. But for that, mm, that does not make me happy that their service is not good enough. GLA, I think, would have replaced it for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but
So
it's too expensive.
Oinky sent a member milestone chat, but they don't show up on StreamYard, which is why you can't see it.
Oh, sorry,
But she
Oinky.
wanted to ask first canister for a person with physical issues. So
Okay.
55 to a 90-gallon canister filter.
Yeah, so I gotta tell you, those FXs are really nice, but they're heavy.
They
Mhm.
are.
I can't clean mine myself. I don't have like any physical limitations, but I'm not super strong.
I mean, if you can put it in a place where you don't have to move it to clean it, like
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
have it off to the side of the tank where you just take the hoses off and unscrew it, and you have buckets around you to clean it.
Yeah, I
That's an
mean,
option.
Dee Dee cleans hers herself, and she just attaches a hose. There's a little tap at the bottom where you can
Mhm.
attach a hose to drain it, and that's what Dee Dee does. And I mean, I gotta feel like I don't know. Dee Dee is probably stronger than I am, though. Let's face it. Is there anything Dee Dee can't do? So, but it is really heavy. Canisters in general for a tank that big are pretty heavy. Like the Owaza ones are pretty heavy too. I
Mhm.
think that the filtration that is going to be the best would be a sump if you could do it.
Mhm.
But you may not have that option because you just may not be set up for it. But those are super easy to clean. Someone was telling me how their 5-year-old, they've got them trained to like clean their sump for them, like switching out the filter pads. That's pretty good. Um, yeah. Oh,
Somebody changed my view that this FX2 is about as stupid as you can
I've
get.
never even seen an FX2. I have just FX6s.
It's
So.
new.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't know anything about it, but that's dumb. Well, but I
It,
guess I don't know. The FX2 is probably not that heavy, I guess, is there?
it's the
But it's
same
probably
height as the FX4. They made it skinnier.
skinnier.
I Other than the feature that it shuts off and purges every 12 hours, I don't see any advantage of it over a 307 or something.
I had a Fluval 307 at one point, and I could lift it by myself. I have an Awaza, can't remember the name, on my 19. That's not big enough for 55. I can clean that one myself. It's not too heavy. I can clean my let's see. I can lift this one that I have under here. This is an Awaza. I don't remember. It says on there somewhere. It's an Awaza though, and I can clean that one myself. It's expensive, but it's not as heavy as the FX ones. So I think I would go with that if you want a canister. Hang on the backs are a good choice though if you have mobility issues, because you just pull out sponge, take it to the sink and clean it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be the easiest for you if you're having some issues with mobility. You don't have to squat down and get underneath your stand. You don't have to lift anything heavy. That's what I would go with. So, yeah.
June says, Kelly, empty the FX6 before you move it. Very easy after that.
That's what Jake is for. I mean, he has 18-inch biceps.
Yeah.
That's
Why
the whole
bother
thing
when you
that
have
I
your own
wear.
Jake?
I'm not cleaning my own damn filter, June. That's what men are for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know. So, yeah. But Dee Dee says, after the first time cleaning the FX6, I quickly learned to drain it first. Then it's not too bad. There you go. I mean, Dee Dee is a very capable woman, though. She is more capable than I am. I just like to point that out. So, let's see.
Not a bad idea from Geek, though. Multiple smaller canisters is an option if you have space for them. Then you don't have to deal with maintenance as much. You can have one devoted maybe to the actual mechanical filtration and one that's strictly biomedia.
Right. Or you can have them set up where you kind of rotate, like every couple weeks you'll clean one and you'll just
every couple of what?
Couple
I would never clean a canister that often.
I clean my canisters twice a year. So but like oh god. Danikin, Kenny E. Oh god, he was like, oh, we clean our canisters every month here. I mean, they have a lot of plecos though. Also, they're better people than I am. I think we just have to accept it. They're better human beings than I am.
They can keep 70 tanks and keep them all in pristine condition.
I don't know how they do it. I have 3 and I can't
and
do it. Well,
none of their lights are on timers. They go and turn.
Wait, I didn't know that part. None
we
of
were
them
talking
are?
about that in the stream on Bex's stream Saturday. They came and chatted like, "Oh, none of ours are on timers. We go and manually turn them off."
Ian, are you in the chat here? I am insisting you go over there and kick the Danikins into the modern age. Make them get some Casa timers and hook them up for them. That's insane.
How many? They would need more like power strips.
Well, the Casa makes a power strip.
They do, yeah, like the smart power strips, or like one Casa plug with like a 20 port strip on it to control all the lights at once.
Man, if I had to turn my lights on and off every day, I mean, I would just forget some days. Like I have all my house lights are on like timers. I have like the Philips Hue lights that go on and off. Like that's oh man. I don't have that kind of brain power. They're better people than I am. So yeah. There you go. They also clean their filters every month. Better people than I am. Not a very good person, but I don't have any plecos. I feel like that buys me something.
Yep.
You did buy some guppies though. They're on the way.
Those are for Lady Rorschach.
We got theirs shipped out today.
I'm just gonna forward them to her.
Forward them.
Just forward those damn guppies. They're not coming to my tanks.
They go to Indiana and then to Washington.
It's a little detour. Maybe I'll just take them over to the metalhead's house. They always need more fish.
So yeah, Bex says I clean filters when they look like they need cleaning.
Twice a year seems to be for me. Like I know it's time.
I decide that it's time to clean them when they look like they need to be cleaned. That's not when I clean them though. I notice, This
Sorry.
one's
These are
shooting out a lot
moldy.
of random crap. Maybe I
This
should
one,
think
yeah,
about cleaning it this year.
yeah. I also like sometimes that comes up in the winter that they have to be clean. I won't do it. I wait till I can take them out to the hose to clean them out. So, yeah. So Snoochie Booch says check out the Fluval 407. I've had a Fluval 407 before, and I was able to clean it on my own. I could lift it and I could carry it to my sink. I also have an Owaza something 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 under here. I can lift that one and clean it under my own power. I would just avoid the Fluval FX 4 and 6. I think those are too heavy. So, yeah.
I got to do my FX6, and I was so dumb when I built the stand for the 90. I didn't even think about the annoyance of pulling the canister out. I spec'd that cabinet that I built for the FX6 with
Yeah.
not a whole lot of like tolerances.
Wiggle room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it fits an FX6.
No.
Technically fits.
It's like that tank that I got. It's the 72 gallon one that I got at Aquashella. It has a little compartment exactly for a Fluval 407. But I would never drive a 72 gallon tank with a Fluval 407. So I don't know if a bigger filter than that would fit or not. I'm not sure. I have to
I have
invest.
a 407 on the rimless I got from Aquashella. It's a 50
Well,
though.
mine is bigger. It's 72 gallons. So
I mean, I had to turn down the flow on the 50 with the 407 by a considerable amount.
yeah, this would have macroalgae in it, though. They need a lot of flow. I mean, because they're used to.
I think it'll be good. I
The
for the spray
407.
bar as well. I put the spray bar on the side, and so it's like a lot more
I probably
concentrated
won't
power.
use a spray bar. I'll probably like just have it blasting out directionally because that's more appropriate for macroalgae. I don't know. That's in the distant future. So
Like next house.
yeah, I gotta move to another house before I set up another tank. I mean, I have a spot I could set one up, but I gotta buy a damn house. I'm tired of being cold in the summer or in the winter and hot in the summer, and yeah, it's just time to buy a new house. So
Yep. I'm tired of it not being 68 all the time forever.
I don't want to be 68 ever. I will keep it at like 72 year round. No, that's not true. In the winter, I will turn it down because gotta be energy efficient.
62
So
to 74 is a good temperature range for the winter time.
74. That sounds
62
great.
to 64. Not
No!
74.
Oh God, no.
I like it.
No.
Oh,
Only
is there
Oscar
some
says,
sump
I
talk?
am not a capable woman. I beg to differ, June. I find you to be a very capable woman.
Oh yeah.
So
I
think
mean,
that-
who would
yeah,
be cleaning those canisters out?
you're a very capable woman.
Mhm.
If there were a contest in womanly capability, you would beat me hands down. I am relatively worthless. So Fantastic Freak says, speaking of heaters earlier, know a place other than Amazon that sells heaters for a big aquarium, like 510 gallons. Oh gosh. I've seen
Mm.
some there, but am a bit leery. So for my pond,
I would
which
just
is
run multiple, like
Yeah.
three.
yeah,
More
I
than
would
100,
definitely
yeah.
do multiples. I run a stock tank heater on my pond and keep it at 50 degrees. Yeah, for sure. Don't buy a heater, I think, bigger than like 200 watts. I would get like 3 or 4 of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have
'cause
two
we're gonna-
150 watts in my 90 on either side.
I have 200 watts in my 90 and they get it there. I've
Mhm.
done bigger than that. Now I'm just doing hundreds. They get, it takes a little while, but they get there. So, yeah, multiple heaters are a better way to go. So Luke says, I run my Awaza completely empty except for the pre-filter, which gets cleaned every 3 days. Luke, you're a better human than I am.
Where did he say that?
I have trouble. What? Where do I see it?
Is that like a? How far are you far back? I can't even see it.
I'm at 548. I'm way far back.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I'm doing my best here. I'm not a professional streamer. Every 3 days though, I have trouble opening the pre-filter. I don't know why. It's supposed to be easy to open. I have trouble opening it. I have sponges on my intakes though, so I clean those every week. So Oinky says, thank you for helping me. It's humiliating, but after a lifetime of lupus and 23 surgeries, I work around everything I can, but I know some things are physically impossible for me. Well, that's okay. You know, there are things I have trouble doing too because they're too heavy or they hurt my hands. And, hang on backs. Like they're so inclusive. Like they can really make fish keeping easier for you, and they do a good job, and they're great for plants. Look into that. We all have things that limit us. It's like some people are short, maybe they shouldn't have 8-foot tall tanks. We all don't feel bad. Yeah. And I'm way back. All right. Okay. How tall does Cryptspiralis get, please?
Insanely tall. It'll
Dun,
get 2 feet
dun,
and then
dun,
even
dun.
taller.
Yeah.
This is a 90-gallon.
Also, Silver Creek, thank you for the member milestone chat.
Up and up and up and up and over and over and over and over. That's Cryptspiralis. It's pretty tall. So I would say 2 feet. Let's say 2 feet. Yeah. There are valves that get taller. 2 feet is what I would go with. After about 2 feet, they start getting shredded in the flow a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe if I didn't have so much flow, they'd get even taller. But 2 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
This seems like a horrifically inefficient heater if 1200 watts only does 300 gallons.
Here, this is a rant that Corey from Aquarium Co-op has, is that nobody needs to have that high of wattage.
Yep.
I can't imagine.
So this is putting toll on the system because it turns off it turns on for 3 seconds, it'll turn off for 5 minutes, and then the constant on and off is just going to wear it down faster.
Well, and here's the thing, so what if it takes another 10 minutes to heat your water or whatever? Your fish are going to be fine.
Yep, because if the 1200 watt sticks on, it's going to cook the whole tank. But if one of your 550 watt heaters sticks on, it's not going to be as much of a heat problem as.
Right.
I have 2 100 watt heaters on this 90, and I change 50% of the water with straight up cold tap water. And in a few hours, it gets there. I mean, it takes a little time, but it's fine.
What's your opinion on sumps, Kelly?
I would like a sump. I want a sump. I have told myself I will never do a big tank again with a canister. I think that sumps are very equalizing. I think that, they're so easy to maintain. I could do it myself, which would be nice. You do need to be mindful of your splashing situation because you could lose CO2 that way, but CO2 is cheap. I'll just crank it up. No, I would really like a sump. Really good.
Another reason I like sumps or planted tanks is if you have a large enough sump, you can have 2 life cycles going on in the tank, one for the main planted tank, and then one whenever the lights are off in your show tank, the sumps are on. So it's always using up whatever nutrients are in the water, and you have 2 sets of plants growing.
And always generating oxygen that way for your fish. You can also do a refugium like the saltwater people do. And you can grow Daphnia in the bottom, which is good live food for your fish. So I think sumps are cool. You can also keep shrimp down there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think sumps are cool. My next big tank will have sumps.
I would for sure use my sump as a trimmings holding tank.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think sumps are awesome. Corvus Oskin has some cool videos on
Yeah.
sumps. He
Mhm.
runs big planted tanks with sumps. He also has stuff on like building sumps if you're handy, which I am not. But no, I think sumps are very cool and I would like one. Dee Dee is a person who knows about sumps. Dee Dee can help you with that. Dee Dee she's very clever. Our Dee Dee, she's very clever.
Clever and crafty.
It's very true. She's a crafty critter. So Mike says, "Oh, I know. Freshwater people are afraid of sumps and would rather drop stupid money on FX6s, though. I don't understand either. I think sumps are really cool. I just didn't quite have the knowledge that I do now.
That was me too. And the
I'm
space.
very, I'm very intimidated by technology. It's a problem I have. I admit it. We all have something in our life. Um, but if I did it again, I would probably. I'm doing a sump. I mean, because when I buy a new house, I'm going to upgrade the size of both of these tanks to bigger, and they will have sumps. And my
So
saltwater tank will have a sump.
we got this question about where should swords be placed in the tank?
Depends on the sword.
It's gonna a flame. I just uprooted because it got way bigger than I thought. I just
Yeah, those
like
get big.
aggressively trimmed one of those yesterday.
Yeah, I trim my swords. I'm always probably every month at least pulling the outer leaves off of them to keep them small. This is in the front here. This sword right here that has a big old spike coming out of it is a Haidai pearl. It does not get too big. I've tried to have it in the back, and it just gets overtaken by other plants because it doesn't get that big. So this one is actually in this tank quite appropriate in the foreground because it's a 90, so it's a tall tank. Most swords probably in the back.
Mhm.
And if you have a small tank, maybe you shouldn't have a sword. Like if you have a
It'll
20 gallon,
it'll take a little
I
bit for it to grow, but then it gets out of control.
then you just give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
I've
mean,
seen. Go ahead.
I know that Mike is looking for a big sword, so you could send one to him.
Yep. Send
Yeah,
all of your gigantic swords.
definitely.
You can put them in this 125.
Yeah, Mike would really like another really big sword. So, yeah. So Beck says, I don't think it's fear of sumps as much as lack of space in a lot of cases. Very true. You don't
Hmm.
really see sumps on nano tanks, but saltwater people do it. Like, so I saw these at Aquashella and I've seen them online. They're like teeny tiniest little reef tanks. They are probably like, I don't know, a quart, maybe a quart and a half,
Yeah, I
even a
saw one
gallon.
at
And
Aquafest.
they have a tiny sump under them.
Mhm.
I
They're
cannot
adorable.
imagine keeping coral stable and in
I,
like a little sip of
I
water like that.
think they're for like they're good for macroalgae because that's more
Mhm.
forgiving for changes in salinity.
Hmm.
But like people put their little tiny auto top offs on them. It's madness. It's madness. So yeah, saltwater people will even put a sump on that. So Geek Boy says, do macroalgae need the filtration or just the flow? Add a power head or wave maker. Yeah. So Gina and I have talked about that. I don't want to do seahorses, so they don't really need like mega filtration or anything. The fish that would be in there would be pseudomagulls, cyanodorsalis, which are they don't need any stability. They don't care. So yeah, I mean, I could just add a power head wave maker. That's true. That's
Hmm.
definitely a good idea. So Dee Dee mentions an over the tank sump can work too. Dee Dee used to have an over the tank sump, I believe, and I think she's a video about it. So
Over the tank. The thing that kind of deterred me from sumps in the beginning was I got a lot of stories of flooding your
hmm,
sump, but
yeah.
then I mean I'm sure set up properly, it's not even a risk. So
I mean, you can flood your house with a canister too. I
yeah,
mean, I've done it. Even with an FX, I've done it. The hose can come unhooked, and oh my God, there's
ooh,
5 gallons of water on the floor. That's happened a couple times.
oh,
Yeah. So So Mike says, I've been trying to make the argument for years, Ian. Sump is much cheaper, more flexible, more efficient, easier to maintain. People prefer the FX6 bandwagon though. Yeah, my next tank is gonna have sumps. I mean, I just, you know, I need some help with the tech. I'm not good with technology at all. Renee says, when I use canisters, I would run them in a series and, of course, a pre filter on the intake, and I had good results. If anything, I just have to clean the first one at all. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I am a big advocate of pre-filter sponges. They're also will save your shrimp population and your small fish. They keep all the little plant matter out of your tank. I love pre-filter sponges and I clean them every week when I do my water change. I think it really prolongs your filter life.
Yeah.
Jeremy says, I want a hot water heater on my pond. Dedication. I have stock tank heaters on my pond. I do have a 300-watt heater on my one of my tubs. It's 100 gallons just because I got it for free. So I'm going to use it. But I don't put a heater on them until it gets below 17 degrees because just the bubbling of the little pump that's in there keeps a hole in the ice, which is sufficient. All it needs is a hole in the ice for gas exchange.
Yeah.
So like it got down to 20 degrees and they were still clear. 17 is kind of for me in my ponds where I have to drop a heater in. We're not quite there yet, but it's coming. So Dave says, I work in the cold, so 74, 75 in the house. I don't want to be cold at home. Amen, Dave. I don't want to be cold either.
F you, Dave. I disagree.
Unlike Dave, though, my reason is because I'm a wimp. I don't have like some manly outdoor job, and I do hot yoga, which has messed me up. So yeah, I don't want to be cold either. And then if your house is at 74, 75, you don't have to put heaters in your tanks. You can all be warm and happy together.
Very true.
Yes.
I was changing out an air pump and I left the air stone in there and I walked away and I come back and there's just like water slowly pooling.
Oh,
Like,
check
what
valves
the
are
fuck is this?
check valves are very important. They're also important with I've had CO2 lines drip, drip, drip because you turn it off at night
Mhm.
and so it'll backflow if you don't have a check valve. Drip, 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 drip all over your floor.
Oh yeah.
Bipolar Fish Keeper says, I despise being cold. I keep my house at 70 and still wear sweatpants and a hoodie in the house. That's just sensible. There's no need to be cold. MNC says, all this talk of cleaning canisters makes me glad I threw all mine and stumps out. I'm assuming you mean sumps. I guess sponge filters then. I don't like sponges. They take up too
I
much. I don't like them.
When it comes to filter maintenance, hang on the backs are my favorite, like in terms of ease.
They're pretty
Sponge
easy.
filters are annoying because you have to get down in there with like a bag or something and prevent all the crap from going everywhere. They take up valuable plant space with
Yeah.
their big
Also,
sponginess.
I think that I don't think they keep your water very clear because they don't do any water polishing. And I'm not saying I need perfect water, but like sponge filters don't do anything. Yeah.
Biological. I mean, that's
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they do a great job at that. And if you want to like breed a ton of fish or shrimp, sponge
right.
filters are great. Corner matten filters are another option. I've never had them. I don't think I really ever would.
When you run a fish room, you have to go with sponge filter. I can't imagine like having
Oh,
a
for
bunch of
sure.
tanks for profit and you have like a hang on the back on every single one of them.
Well, your electric bill would be really
Yeah.
high too. So, yeah, I mean, Dee Dee just sent me a picture
Ooh.
of a sump in a shoebox. This is how clever Dee Dee is. She's far cleverer than I am. Let's see if you can see it.
Here, I'll make it big there, and then we have to say goodbye because Austin's streaming.
Some put a shoebox from Dee Dee, guys. That woman is clever at DIY.
Dang.
That Dee Dee. What can't she do? And Jenna, I would never say you can't have an 8-foot tank. Maybe not an 8-foot high tank, but an 8-foot long tank. Go for it, girl. You are short, though.
All right, y'all. Austin has probably started. So
Yes. So everyone go to his stream.
somebody, awesome mod, kindly drop the link to his stream and head over there, say hi, listen to him talk about puffers, perhaps.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, mods. Thank you, super chatters. Thank you, lurkers. Thank you, replayers. And thanks for everyone who asked about my little dog. She's fast asleep. So better days ahead for dog.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, everybody.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.